would keep me waiting, I would wait a lifetime. In tricky situations, I will be a lifeline. Nobody's meant to be fighting alone. That's why I'm taking you home. I never felt something like this before, no. Keep coming back for your time after time. Maybe I'm losing my mind, but I know I'll never leave you behind, no. Baby, I got you. When you feel like falling, I'll be there to prove, yeah, that baby, I got you. No matter the distance, no matter the route, yeah, baby, I got you. When you feel like falling, I'll be there to prove, yeah, that baby, I got you. No matter the distance, no matter the route, yeah, baby, I got you. I got you. I got you. I got you. Baby, I got you. I got you. I got you. Ocean in between us, still I feel your heartbeat. There's something about you, baby, that makes me feel complete. Nobody's meant to be fighting alone. That's why I'm taking you home. I never felt something like this before, no. Keep coming back for your time after time. Maybe I'm losing my mind, but I know I'll never leave you behind, no. Baby, I got you. When you feel like falling, I'll be there to prove, yeah, that baby, I got you. No matter the distance, no matter the route, yeah, baby, I got you. When you feel like falling, I'll be there to prove, yeah, that baby, I got you. No matter the distance, no matter the route, yeah, baby, I got you. I got you. I got you. I got you. Baby, I got you. I got you. I got you. And the world is going wild when they call for you. And the river's running dry when it all falls through. Don't you worry about a thing, baby, I got you. Yeah, baby, I got you.
For a fact, they both don't like that woman.
Yeah, I told you.
I tell you that because, furthermore, if you look at the situation, their father met that woman when he was 29. Do you know how old Diana was? 16. Diana was 16.
Oh my goodness.
My man
What
was
would they say in 2023?
You see? The age police have not said anything.
The age
So
police.
now, when your
Severe grooming.
imagine your mother goes on TV
brutal, man.
and says your father and his descendants and his predecessors are bullying me, they're making me not eat, the woman is giving me sleepless nights, and then my mother dies, and then you go and marry that woman. Huh? You think I'm gonna like that woman?
That is a slap in the face.
A big slap in the face. But for William, as you said, he's sucking up because what? For him, he wants to be king.
He wants to be king.
So, but Harry, my guy, my brother, sticking up for his
William
father.
is what you call a man that does not stand for anything, but fall for anything.
He will fall. Look at him; he's just like the wind.
That's why his head is falling as well. His hair is falling out.
Allegedly, he's also like father, like son. I hear.
Yeah.
He also has a side cupping, but
Allegedly, but now
allegedly.
Is this a news flash?
And allegedly,
are you breaking?
She was there at the
We
coronation.
didn't confirm it. We didn't hear it here.
Me, I'm just talking what I read in the newspapers.
What newspaper is this?
That already she was also there at the coronation. On Camilla's side. That's what I saw.
William had chest,
Allegedly. So for me, I don't think they like her, but they tolerate her.
So they have a department of side piece affair.
Was it me? Did you not see that?
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Tuesday podcast. Hope you're all doing well. Hit that thumbs up button and the subscribe button, please. Right, just a few things to get through today. Couple updates. Still riding high from Harry's win and waiting to see what's going to come next. Rose Hill, a new member. Welcome to the asylum, Rose Hill. Can I just also say thank you so much to Vera? Sorry you're going through some health issues at the moment. I did receive your emails and I did finally respond. So thank you so much. Really appreciate that. And I'll definitely show your beautiful artwork in a podcast at some point during the holiday. So thank you for that. All right, let's get into it. Right, first things first. An interesting theory circulating about Harry's case is that the articles that were not lot so the articles that Harry didn't win were articles that were allegedly leaked by the royals, and that's why some people feel that he didn't win those articles. So thank you so much to Lightside, who actually sent me a link to an article in the in Sky News. Actually, I did quite a detailed article about this. The articles that Harry won and lost. So he won 15. So there's 18 that some people are theorizing because the nature of them were leaked actually by the palace and not and the information was not obtained via illegal information gathering. Well, being leaked by the palace would still be an invasion of privacy, but it didn't come under the phone hacking charges. And it wouldn't surprise me. Would it surprise anyone that the palace was leaking? So let's have a look at some of the articles that were actually lost. So Diana so sad on Harry's big day. Princess take to the hills for gala. 3 a.m. Harry's at the bar. Okay, this one is quite an interesting one. Snap. Harry breaks thumb like William. Exclusive. Rugger off Harry. Harry sick with kissing disease. No eaten trifles for Harry, 18. Harry to lead cadets march. Harry is ready to quit Oz. Beach bum Harry. 3 a.m. What a way to Harry on. Harry fear as mobile is swiped. Down in the dumped. Hooray, Harry's dumped. I mean, these are could these have been leaked by the palace? Yeah. Equally, even the ones that came under the phone hacking charges could have also been. But it's an interesting theory. What do you think of that? Gillian would love to subscribe from my end, but don't know how. So if you're watching, I think whether you're watching on mobile or desktop, you should see a subscribe button just below the video. If it's red, it means you're not subscribed. So just hit that button. Oh, Vera, hi. Thanks so much for the feedback. I'm improving health-wise, so not to worry too much. Oh, fantastic, Vera. Thank you so much for confirming. And also, the other reason this wouldn't surprise me if the palace was leaking is because, well, Harry is the spare. And they needed to use him, and they did use him to deflect from Harry's bad behavior, to protect the future monarch, to protect Charles. You know, there's evidence to show that they absolutely did leak and to the news of the world, the likes of Rebecca Brooks, who was obsessed with Harry. So it's a wonder that Harry actually has any compassion for his family. Couldn't be me, but these are not shoes that I walk in, and this is a very unique, to say the least, situation to be in. But let's also just remember that part of the reason the British tabloids are so up in arms about this case is because it is, of course, bigger than Harry. This from the court documents. There are very many more claimants in the Mirror newspaper's hacking litigation whose claims have been made to wait to allow these 4 test cases to be tried first. So remember, Harry's case was a test case. These claims are selected for trial first because they raise most of the important issues that arise in the other claims. It gave the court an opportunity to decide some important points, the decisions of which are likely to apply in the same way in many other cases, and thereby help the parties to settle those claims by agreement. And as and when those court cases are won, because the prayer warriors are going to make sure that they are won, can they still blame this? Can they still blame Harry for trying to bring down the press? Can they still say that? Because what do you then have to say to the other claimants? Many of those are normal, working class British people who have been done wrong by the papers, not just celebrities. But of course, it doesn't matter if you're a celebrity. If your life was ruined, it was ruined. So what are they going to say then? Are they going to continue to say Harry's trying to destroy the press? What about the other claimants? What about Stephen Lawrence's mother? What about Millie Dowler's family, who deserve a Leveson 2 inquiry? They're trying to spin this into, oh, it's just, Harry being a tantrum throwing prince, you know, up himself with his California tan. Yeah, he has a California tan now, and he's eating probably spiced chicken, as he deserves to, after everything the British tabloids and the royal institution that he was born into has put him through. I think he deserves to get that California tan and eat Meghan's properly spiced chicken. Lottie, I wonder if Harry knew that his family was leaking stories about him. I mean, he must have been suspicious. Blacklight, Harry probably misses England, but I think he knows he can't live there. I mean, it goes without saying that Harry probably very much wishes that none of this mess had ever happened. But I feel that ultimately it was always going to go this way because of the way this institution is. They were never going to change. And I think a discerning voice, or somebody that's perhaps walked in, I think a discerning voice probably would have told Harry, listen, they're never going to accept your wife. They're never going to accept her. In fact, that she is as amazing as she is the very reason that they'll try to destroy her. Because at the end of the day, what Meghan, even just Meghan alone as a person, what she stands for and who she is, goes completely against the whole purpose of the royal institution. The purpose of the royal institution is to be the respectable face of inequality. Somebody actually made a very good point of this. I'm actually trying to upload the video at the moment because I think I really want to play this video. This was by a TikToker, actually a British TikToker, because I think he explains this way better than I ever could. Okay, it's just uploading. I'm gonna play this. Yeah, they were never gonna accept Meghan. What happened, as far as I'm concerned, was not preventable. Now, Brian E. Gordon wrote this article for, I think this is for the Telegraph. She's written 2 very good articles about Harry, one which was an interview. And she says, Meghan told me about her problems. This is a storm that could have been avoided. No, it couldn't have. I'm sorry. And to say that it could have been avoided, I think is living in Delulu land. This institution, as the video that I'm about to play explains, is the acceptable face of inequality. You're literally just there to be like Hunger Games tributes to distract the poor peasants from what's actually going on. So if you're there with substance, if you're there, you actually want to make any amount of change, things, you're not going to be able to do that. And then the fact that Meghan was able to do so much in such a short amount of time, and by no fault of her own, just existing, exposed just how mediocre this institution is. So I'm sorry to this writer, but this is not a storm that could have been avoided. Everything that's happened was always going to happen. But nonetheless, this is an interesting article. So let's have a. Actually, I'm gonna play this video because I think it's loaded now. Yeah, I'm gonna play this video and then we're gonna read this article. Have a listen to this.
Do you mind to seeing the royal family are legitimising the horrendous conditions that people in the UK are being forced into as part of an awful PR campaign? So the royals have recently been visiting a baby bank as part of the many poverty safaris that they like to undergo. If you're wondering what the baby bank is, it's a charity that provides essentials to families in extreme need. We are a G7 country. Now, there is nothing wrong with doing charity work. The issue is when people do it to boost their own personal profile and polling and fail to acknowledge why they have to do said charity work in the first place. So basically what the royal family is doing. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, we've yet to see a royal attend one of the 1,400 food banks that we've got in this country operated by the Trussell Trust and say that the reason we have so many is because of Tory economic and social policy over the last 13 years. And people will say, well, the royals can't be political, but they are. I mean, just excluding the reasons behind a monarchy for a moment, their existence in this context is to be the friendly face of inequality and normalise these charities that exist because the Tories have created such dire living standards that people wouldn't survive without them. This is part of why we see the UK slipping back into Victorian levels of inequality, because poverty is being normalised and not eliminated. We don't need shameless PR stunts motivated by a desperate need to beat racism allegations. We need meaningful action and change. I mean, take homelessness for example. The UK charity crisis estimates it will cost 1.9 billion to completely eradicate poverty in this country. The royal family has an estimated net worth of 21 billion, which includes a vast property empire. Do you see what we're getting at here? But if you take one thing away from this, please remember that charity exists because the state has failed in its duty of care to its citizens. The reason that we have people suffering in our country the way they are is because political choices have been made to ensure that.
Brilliantly said. Brilliantly said. Anne Bromley said, did they have class action lawsuits in the UK? Yes. I believe as part of all of this wider phone hacking and press harassment, there is a group lawsuit by victims of terror attacks who were harassed by the press. Sonia Johnson, you said, if Harry is destroying the British press, then I say good on him. Wait, Harry, we are with you. Indeed. And I don't believe that Harry is trying to destroy the British press. I think he just, like most straight thinking people, just wants press accountability and wants them to stop destroying people's lives. But if they're not going to stop destroying people's lives, then they need to go. Sussex Love, you said, of course, makes perfect sense. That lets you know these stories have been leaking. Those stories have been leaking those stories. The only reason they wouldn't be illegal is because the palace voluntarily gave them to the paper. Exactly. And like Sadie said, what they wanted, her mute and beaten and broken down. Really, the only way to avoid it is for the status quo to change. That exactly. And they were never going to change the status quo. That was made very, very clear when they decided to roll up to Jamaica in colonizer cosplay, rolling around in jeeps. Utterly ridiculous. Okay, let's read this article from this Ms. Bryony Gordon. Almost 18 months ago, I sat on a sofa with a woman as she told me about the moment she had asked for help for her mental health, only to be denied it. I remember quite clearly the visceral feeling I had in my stomach as she explained to me what she had been told, and that was to suck it up, essentially. No can do. The feeling was visceral because, like many people who have experienced this mental illness, I know what a colossal task it is to admit you're in trouble with your mental health. I also know what an absolute kick in the teeth it is to then be dismissed, shut down, and denied that help. As a mental health campaigner, people come to me with these problems quite a lot, but I had never imagined that Meghan Markle would be one of them. I remember the call I received from one aide on Friday night of October 2019, asking if I might be free to go to Frogmore Cottage and have a cup of tea with the Duchess over the next few days. I'd met Meghan on a number of occasions by this point and enjoyed a chatty lunch with her where we talked about yoga and shared monkfish. Arrangements were made. I turned up in Windsor a couple of days later with a box of chocolate brownies and what I hoped was a friendly demeanor. Like Meghan, I love rescuing things. The most surprising thing about the various meetings I've had with Meghan and Harry over the years has always been how very normal they both are. That day, as she shared her mental health issues, things were no different. Mental health, I have found, is a great leveler. The problems you hear tend to be the same whether you're speaking to a duke, a duchess, or a supermarket delivery driver. Megan told me many of the things she told Oprah on Sunday night and expressed her dismay and bafflement over some of the responses to her. I felt desperately sad for her and wanted to offer some sort of advice. I'm afraid to say I could come up with nothing more constructive than, why don't you jack it all in? I had a hug with Archie. Harry gave me a lift to my Uber, which was waiting at the gates of Windsor Castle, and we spoke about their recent tour of South Africa. Harry spoke lovingly of the impression that his wife made on the young girls they met and how she didn't understand the impact she had. But we also discussed guinea pigs. I had just taken delivery of some for my daughter, and Harry fondly recalled what he and William had that he and William had kept them as pets when they were children. Okay, I just want to stop there. She says Harry spoke lovingly of the impression that his wife made on the young girls they met, how she didn't understand the impact she had. Well, she did have impact, and she did leave an impression. And Meghan, being in this institution, had impact and left an impression on a lot of people. It's the reason why, when she was treated the way she was, so many people who see themselves in Meghan's situation overqualified and yet treated the way she was in an institution where you're often the only person of color, and especially in this institution, right? So one of the things that annoys me, and I was actually having this conversation with Lightside earlier today, was that how Meghan was treated and how the last 6 years has played out, the way in which she was um, bullied, maligned, this whole smear campaign against her, and the way in which this was partly orchestrated by the press, the palace, and on some level, even some people from the British government involved. The way in which we don't recognize what that means uh, socially and politically, and how that has looked to people of color, and how that has felt. I find it very irritating how there isn't enough acknowledgement of that. Okay, on to the next thing before I go off on a tangent. But yeah, I just wanted to make that connection because yes, for those girls, it would have meant a lot to see Meghan. So imagine what it felt like for those girls and to other people watching, what it's felt watching this smear campaign for the last 6 years. It's hard to underline how amiable and human I find the two of them, because every time I do this, I am met with eye rolls and prejudgments that no amount of defending will ever be able to cut through. But my only job is to speak as I find, and I have always found from the moment I started working with Harry on the Heads Together campaign back in 2016 up until today, are two good-natured humans who are trying to do their best. However, all time that may look to the public who has perhaps learnt more about the royal family in the past 24 hours than in the last 24 years. Words such as shock and surprise have been bandied about by many. But for me, as someone who knows people on both sides of the story, my biggest feeling is sadness. Sadness for Meghan and Harry, and of course, but also for William and Catherine, and a family who, for whatever reason, are unable to see a third way through this. Although there's a very good reason. The status quo has to be the status quo has to remain the way it is. And it can only remain the way it is um if the faces of this institution are William and Kate, are two people who symbolize the status quo in every single way. That is why they're unable to see a third way through this. Like, the answer to that question is so obvious. you don't have to be on any particular side to see that this interview with Oprah is the tip of the iceberg that is loaded with endless pain. Are you Team Sussex or Team Cambridge? I was recently asked by a royal documentary maker, to which my only real answer is, can I be Team Human? I think it's a bit myopic to reduce this to, are you Team Sussex or are you Team Cambridge? Because, wait, hang on a sec, because I actually wrote this in my notes. Hang on a sec, folks. It's not so much about picking a side. It's about, like I said, what the last 6 years represents and what the way in which Meghan was treated and Harry was treated because he chose his wife, what that represents. And like in a weird way, it I'm struggling to kind of like form my words here, folks. But okay, I'm gonna move on because I'm kind of like struggling to put together my words. But I hope you can kind of understand what I'm trying to get at here. But let me continue reading. Any woman is vulnerable when they are pregnant, let alone one who has moved across an ocean and given up a career to be with a man whose family you have to curtsy to. There was always going to be a clash of cultures here. I mean, they didn't have to be if one side recognized that perhaps in in the age that we're living in, it's a bit bloody stupid to have to curtsy to your family. I mean, they couldn't even get rid of that rule. It's a bit stupid to curtsy to your family. Can we not do that, please? Whether she should have been more prepared for the job of a duchess can be argued about by experts in royal protocol, of which I am not. I mean, what is that job, really? Showing up to PR press calls and making zero impact whatsoever, being the respectable face of inequality. So when Meghan came in and actually made impact, now we have a problem because that's not upholding the status quo. Hence the reason why it's wrong to say that this storm could have been avoided. It could have never been avoided. But it's clear that in Meghan, the monarchy had an opportunity to move with the times. Yeah, well, they didn't. And for some reason, they decided to let it go. From the start, she was enthusiastic and energetic, buzzing with ideas about charitable causes that could be supported. Here was a woman who had considerable experience of public life, unlike others who had married into the royal family before her. But as she said in the Oprah interview, it was suggested that she stayed out of the limelight. I was everywhere but nowhere, she explained, before adding poignantly that the drama seemed to be happening just because I was breathing. The sense of permanently being somehow faulty or wrong is one that those who have suffered mental illnesses will know well. To have admitted that there was a problem, one that Meghan describes as making her feel ashamed, was absolutely essential. To have then had that problem dismissed, as she says happened when she asked for help, makes me wince. In the same way I wince when someone in distress tells me about being ignored by their partner, mum, dad, or GP. Sadly, it happens to people all the time. And Meghan helps everyone, royal family included, by talking about it, even though they don't appreciate it. Today, Meghan has risked being dismissed all over again. She knows that her critics will double down and that they will probably switch from throwing stones to throwing rocks. Oh, or if it's Jeremy Clarkson, feces. But to her, that is not a reason to avoid talking about these things. In fact, it's more of a reason to talk about them. Within hours of the interview being aired, the usual suspects were pumping out their bullets, describing the interview as disgraceful, and even going as far as to accuse Meghan of lying. I know this will upset Meghan, but I'm pretty sure it won't surprise her anymore, as the couples were told again and again when they asked for help, this is just how it is. It's this I find so disturbing, that in the year 2021, our grasp on mental health issues is still so weak that in many quarters it's simply easier to belittle those who talk about it. Yeah. I wanted to read this because I hadn't actually read it when it came out. This came out in 2021. But it's still incredibly relevant. Incredibly relevant. And I disagree with Bryony. He was an amazing writer as well, but I disagree. There's no way this storm could have been avoided. All right. Let me go to comments and yeah, then we will continue. Yeah. Thanks so much, Black Queen, for reminding people to hit that thumbs up button and subscribe. Yes, please do join memberships. I do encourage you to join memberships through Buy Me a Coffee, if you can, please. Lorna, I am team empathy and critical thinking and structural change we need it. That exactly, Lorna Williams. Because God forbid, what if Meghan had actually offed herself? Or what if when they were in Canada, madmen had actually harmed this family? Or any time since then, some radicalized tabloid reader had done something or still does something now. We're allowed to be angry. We're allowed to pick sides. But this isn't just about being team one or being, team two. It's about looking at this in a more holistic, rounded way. What happened in the royal family is a microcosm of what happens across society. And the fact that it happened in one of the most powerful institutions in the world really says something. Monte Cristo, you had a really good comment. Monte Cristo, you said, I understand you clearly. Thank you so much. You are doing brilliant. Thank you so much. Describing the Black Duchess was overqualified for the job is a home run description. It perfectly fits Meghan being asked to be 50% of herself. Exactly. And isn't that what we're often asked to do as Black women, as women of color in the real world? When you're overqualified, that's a problem. So please be 50% of yourself. But then when you're 50% of yourself, oh, you're not working hard enough. We need you to work harder. You can't win. Okay. That blast from the past is over. Actually, another blast from the past, which is just as relevant today as when it was written. This wonderful article that popped up in Byline Investigates. Please do support them. I did donate a few pennies. They're doing a great job. And if you see them in newsstands, please do buy. So, Byline. Following the landmark judgment against the Mirror Group in the High Court, Byline Times is reprinting Paddy French's June 2015 press gang article about Piers Morgan and unlawful information gathering. I do believe that we will see Piers Morgan being dragged, kicking and screaming to court. Will Piers Morgan go to jail? Probably not. I don't think he'll go to jail. But a very hefty fine, which will likely be followed by a very hefty divorce, is all the karma he deserves. So let's get into this article. You don't get to be editor of The Mirror without being a fairly despicable human being. Piers Morgan to Kate Winslet in The Insider 2015. He actually said those words. And to Kate Winslet. Okay. When he appeared on Desert Island Discs in 2009, Piers Morgan was challenged about phone hacking. Presenter Kirsty Young asked him about dealing with people who listen to phone messages, people who tap people's phones. How do you feel about that? Morgan didn't deny the allegations. I'm quite happy to have to sit here defending all these things I used to get up to. I make no pretense about the stuff we used to do. The stuff we used to do. What was that stuff, Piers? What was the stuff you used to do? But after the revelations in July 2011 that Rupert Murdoch's journalist had hacked murdered schoolgirl Millie Dowler's mobile phone, he changed his tune. When the American Daily Beast website resurrected the Desert Island Disc comments in 2011, Morgan insisted, for the record, I have never hacked a phone, told anyone to hack a phone, or published any stories based on the hacking of a phone. But in fact, the Daily Mirror had printed an article based on phone hacking more than a decade earlier. It was just as mobile phones were taking off, and Piers Morgan had been Daily Mirror editor for more than 2 years. Early in 1998, one of the paper's journalists in Dublin realised it was possible to access messages left on mobiles of senior Irish politicians. Reporter Carl Brophy, based at Irish Parliament, proceeded to listen to messages left on the phone of the Irish leader Bertie Ahern, he also successfully listened to messages left on phones of other cabinet ministers. Brophy's article, published as an exclusive on Saturday, the 18th April 1998, went into great detail about how phone messages could be hacked. The phone tap can be operated by anyone who knows the number of the mobile phone they wish to listen into. The article explained that mobile phones were sold with a standard password for stored messages that most people never change. That means anyone can listen in to another person's messages by simply phoning in to their electronic mailbox and dialing the digits 0000. Once they have done this, the hacker has unlimited access to all the messages. I mean, I think what's even more incredible was that there wasn't a wider campaign by mobile phone operators to warn people about this. Why did that never happen? I'll have to look into that. The article was accompanied by an editorial. This stated, if Richard Nixon had lived in Dublin, he would have had no need for Watergate. Instead, teams of bungling burglars, all he would have needed was a mobile phone to tap into the thoughts of his political rivals. Not a word of the story appeared in the mainland editions of the Mirror. This was despite the fact that several millions of people of Irish descent, thousands of them Daily Mail readers, and the implications of the story. Okay, so I think it goes on a little bit more into this particular story with the Irish government. Okay, it goes into someone being tipped off. I'm trying to get to the part about Piers Morgan. Oh, okay. Do you know what? This is actually a very, very, very long article. Hang on a sec. Okay, state of play in 2015. More and more evidence is emergent about the dark arts at the Daily Mirror. In 2015, so far, Operation Golding, the Scotland Yard operation into phone hacking at the Mirror Group, has seen 15 journalists, including Piers Morgan, questioned under caution. The investigation continues. Scores of civil claims are also generating large amounts of information. In May, Mr. Justice Mann ordered the Mirror Group to pay 8 victims a massive £1.2 million worth of damages. 6 were victims of the Daily Mirror during Piers Morgan's time at the paper, including actress Sadie Frost and the footballer Paul Gascoigne. The judgment also revealed that the Mirror papers admitted paying over £2.25 million in over 13,000 invoices. This is how wide scale this was. Like, I feel like it hasn't actually been touched upon how big of an operation this was. The Mirror papers admitted paying over £2.25 million in over 13,000 invoices to certain named private eyes in the years from 2000 to 2007. Mr. Justice Mann at the time noted that the Mirror's legal team acknowledged that an unquantifiable but substantial amount of inquiries made of the agents is likely to have been to obtain private information that could not be obtained lawfully. All right, I'm gonna post there's an article called Dial M for Morgan, and yeah, you can read this in full, because dang, there's actually pictures of him with Rebecca Brooks and Murdoch. What this man has gotten away with is just, and the fact that he is such a big part of UK media also. This is how you know he knows a lot about a lot of people, because ain't no way he would have survived this long doing all of these things. Okay, I'm going to post this link if you want to read it in full. And yeah, that's all. That'll be all for today. Thank you as always, everyone. Oi, I can't wait for us to start getting more Harry and Meghan projects. so we can have some positive things to talk about. But I think these things are also important too, because it also just speaks for the wider social political implications um, that extends beyond the royal family and the institutions around it. The Anna, you said, Piers very carefully worded denials don't include knowing how to hack a phone or sharing information with others. Yeah. If they find that he committed perjury during the Leveson inquiry, he's definitely in trouble. Thank you so much, Honey Burnett. We do try. Not easy. All right, gonna end things there. Enjoy the rest of your day, folks, and I'll see you tomorrow. Oh, I was gonna say, because my schedule's been a bit funny this week, that's why I've been doing evening podcasts. But I will eventually go back to doing podcasts in the morning because I've the couple podcasts that I did in the morning, I loved it. It's like I've done it, it's out of the way, it's still convenient enough for you in the States to listen to me in the evening, but also still convenient. I guess maybe okay, maybe not so much in the UK because it's going on maybe a bit past midnight. Um, but it's really helped with my sleep and like my pattern. So yeah, I will be going back to early morning in Indonesia podcasts. It's just my schedule's been a bit funny this week. All right, see you tomorrow, folks. Ciao.